Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So finally we do have news about season 9 of Battlegrounds, and they are quite major ones that have absolutely massive implications, and we're going to talk about them in a bit later in the video. Right, so let's start. For season 9 we are supercharging rewards in the events for this season, as well as opening up season 9 to conqueror level summoners. These changes are going to be exclusive to season 9, so get them while you can. That is because Alliance War effectively is taking a season off, so they are kind of distributing the Alliance War rewards into the Battlegrounds rewards for most part. Along with all these exciting rewards changes, we'll also be moving the Gladiator circuit down to 2 metas rather than 4, each spanning over 2 weeks. This is a change we are exploring carrying forward into the future seasons. And to be honest, initial impressions for me is that I'm kind of okay with that. And the reasons for that, at least in theory, obviously I haven't played through the new system. Maybe it's getting too tedious. Maybe, I prefer 4. But at the very least, looking at it on paper, I think I'm quite okay with it, because cutting it down from 4 metas to 2 metas will let people better prepare their accounts and rank ups for that, because ranking up champions for each meta every week is virtually impossible unless you have like all the rank up materials. So it's going to let you kind of like focus better on what you need. Number 2, we all know that only one meta in the season matters really, and that's the last one, right? So giving people more time to play in the meta that actually determines the end of season rankings, in my opinion, is going to allow people perform at their best and make it meaningful. Because at the moment, you might have like a metas in week 2 and 3 that you are really, really good at, but week 4, like this time around, we have an arena nuke type of meta, and maybe it's not working out for you, and you definitely have much less time to adjust yourself to these nodes as well. So giving you 2 weeks to play through that meta and be in a position where at the end of the season you have had enough time and practice to play your best game and try and rank as high as possible is a good thing. Because yeah, again, only one meta really matters in the season, and that's the final one, because that is the one that determines where you place. And lastly, the third reason why I'm kind of okay with Kabam shifting from 4 metas in Gladiator Circuit to 2 metas is because, let's face it, half of the metas have been crap. Recently, in seasons 7 and 8, half of the metas are effectively just arena with nodes that don't really matter aside from helping like 1 or 2 defenders. Like one of the previous metas, we had like, okay, Terax is better defender now, and that's it. And then in this current meta, realistically, it's harder to kill Nimrod because Nimrod gets plenty of buffs and is frequently used. Other than that, there's not much of a difference than playing Arena. And if they switch from 4 metas to 2 metas, there's much better chance that they actually can put in work and thought and test these things. Hopefully, because God knows they haven't been testing these metas at all themselves, evidenced by, this season's fiasco of nodes canceling each other out completely. So I am kind of for it, yeah. Maybe when we actually play through it, it will feel too tedious or mundane. But on paper, I think there are very good arguments to go for 4 metas to 2 metas. So I'm not gonna raise any like major complaints there. The final change will be a tweak to the maximum points that time will grant summoners. And season 9 starts at June 28th, finishes at July 26th. Points changes. We have noticed a large trend of time being the defining factor in top tier games, and as a result, defenders that extend the fight being consistently picked. We don't want to shift things too much, and we will want time to be a source of points, but we want the main focus to be winning the fight in the best possible condition. So, they are changing the amount of points you can get for max fight duration from 15,000 to 10,000. So, now we're going to have your HP, 50k, 15k points, opponent's HP, 30k points, and time remaining, 10k points. which means that overall scores will go down because there will be 5k points missing, basically. And it also means several things. Tanky defenders that just stall for time will not be quite as valuable. Now, time is still going to be very, very important, but health remaining is going to be like the biggest factor basically here. How much health you have remaining will be more important. So the first obvious thing here is that those of you who like to run recoil tree in Battlegrounds, this change is not good for you at all, because that was the offside. You basically sacrificed some of your health due to Liquid Courage, Double Edge, or recoil in order to get much shorter fight duration. That tactic will not be as effective any longer, which some people will be happy about, which some people will be indifferent to, and which some people will be very, very, very unhappy about. So I'll leave how you feel about it there, because I think, it all is based on your personal preference, realistically. We all have a horse in this race, so to speak. So, whether somebody is unhappy, that's not a wrong feeling to have, or whether somebody's super happy, that's not a wrong feeling to have either. All depends on your own personal preference. But this will also definitely have impact on champion choices. This will definitely have impact on, roster selection and the fights themselves, because now steady, consistent, tanky attackers will be more valuable than they used to be. And I think Mr. Fantastic, I think Anti-Venom, I think King Groot possibly, because you can heal up to full, so on and so forth. And champions that take damage as part of their playstyle or frequently take damage will be less valuable. So, for instance, Spot, he's still going to be very, very, very good, but in a lot of fights, you do end up taking some chip and block damage, and that block damage is going to be more meaningful. Now, moving forward, also, tricky defenders that force you to lose health will become more valuable. And here I'm thinking potentially Electro, potentially Ebony Maw, definitely actually. Because even if you take one degen, that's going to have massive implications. And stuff like Atuma, so on and so forth. So, health in itself is going to be more important. And again, on paper, I don't know if this is going to be better. I'm willing to kind of give it a go. Kind of makes sense, but there's arguments on both sides. So this is something that I'm relatively neutral for. It is something that, you just need to play and test, and then we can jointly figure out, whether it's better, where it makes more sense, or whether before previous scoring system was better. But I am willing to give it a go. I don't think it's unreasonable change. Rewards. As previously discussed, we'll be boosting rewards for solo and alliance events for Season 9 only, and that will include 6-star hero crystal shards, 6-star nexus crystal, 7-star hero crystal shards, 6-star nexus crystal as well. And also here in the alliance event, we're going to have tier 4 catalyst, tier 5 catalyst, tier 5 CC selectors, tier 3 alphas, tier 6 basics, some tier 6 class catalyst fragments, obviously with more points as well. We went over that already, but now let's take a look at the metas. So victory track meta, buff toggle unstoppable 2. Every 9 seconds, the defender gains an unstoppable buff for 3 seconds. So I think this is a type of node that you can play around against most of the champions. And then, obviously, we do how whenever any of the defenders' buffs are nullified, they gain 60% of bar power, armor break debuffs, nullify armor up buffs, and Dauntless. I think it's solid for victory track. It's not going to be completely kind of arena type situation, which I'm quite alright. Slow champions will have like bigger emphasis placed on them, or buff control champions if you can also deal with power somehow. So obviously for this one I will be making a video before the start of the season going over theoretical best or worst possible options, so on and so forth. But I think it's reasonable meta for Victory Track. First 2 weeks in Gladiator Circuit, we're going to have Buff Toggle Unstoppable 3, which basically every 8 seconds the defender gains Unstoppable buff for 4 seconds. And this is going to be much harder to play around because here defender will be unstoppable 1/3 of the time, and here it's unstoppable half the time. So this node is definitely much harder. Still have the Return Policy 3 and also Slap Me Not. Whenever the defender is immune to or inflicted with a Nullify, Fate Seal, or Stagger, they become stun immune for 10 seconds. So Nullify champions are going to have quite a bit harder time here, in between stun immunity and in between the power that opponents get. So it's going to be, again, quite interesting to see. You're probably going to be leaning on like Science and or Skill Class to see what happens here. Flow is going to be in high demand. And Valkyrie. And now we have Sharpened Claws for week 3 and 4. And this meta I actually really like. It does look very interesting. Because we have Slash Through blocks inflicting 5 stacks of bleed. Each bleed does 10% of attack over 3 seconds. 3-second delay is applied before more stacks of bleed can be placed. So this node will punish you for parrying, unless you're using like bleed immune champions, but it also enables quite a lot of, cheesy interactions with, let's say Mole Man can ramp up quicker, Kingpin's damage can go through the roof basically, and, Crossbones is going to be there as well. Baron Zemo sounds like he's going to be insane here because you just parry, you're going to get 5 stacks of bleed, you're going to purify all of them, you're immediately going to root the opponent, and then, don't parry for another 15 seconds or how long it is till your cleanse comes back, and then you can just root again. So Baron Zemo sounds like an absolute monster for these Sharpened Claws. So do quite a few skill champions, and then there's going to be, some more, Omega Red is going to be slightly better because you can parry and get a bit of death field going for 3 seconds, death field for 3 seconds. So it's going to be interesting. There are going to be champions that will struggle more. There are going to be champions that will be significantly better. Definitely also something I'll be making a video about. And then we also have Reinvigorated Unblockable, where every time a regeneration buff or passive is activated, they gain a vigor counter unless they are heal blocked. And once they reach 10 vigor counters, they go unblockable for 5 seconds. So you can't let the opponent get too many regions. And we have Personal Space Regeneration. While the attacker is close to the defender gains a regeneration buff every 3 seconds, regenerating half of their max health. Staying far away from the defender cause these to fall off. And this is also interesting because this heavily favors heal reverse characters. Obviously, we're gonna have the champs that can deal with the regeneration. Obviously, nullify abilities because these are buffs. So Mystic champions will be quite positively impacted here. And we're gonna have the Science champions largely who can reverse the regeneration rate, and combine that with the skill champions that are getting buffed. I think there's going to be quite a lot of very interesting matchups and interactions in this meta, and it does sound very interesting because you're going to be either supercharging damage or, working to reverse the regen. So I definitely look forward to this meta as well, at the very least on paper. So Season 9 does look quite interesting. Let me know what you guys think about the changes. What do you guys think about the swap to 2 metas from 4? What do you guys think about the point change and everything else? And most importantly, are you looking forward to Season 9? Because I am. See you later, guys. Bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all